Ancient Prophecies. Glimpses of Modern Nations in Sacred Texts. Part 1. Introduction. Sowing the Seeds of Mystery. Welcome, seekers of ancient wisdom, to Bible by Candlelight. In the hushed glow of flickering flame, we embark on a journey not through dusty archives, but into the very heart of prophecy, where the echoes of antiquity speak to the anxieties and wonders of our modern world. Can it be that within the venerable pages of the Bible, texts penned millennia ago amidst desert sands and nascent civilizations, lie veiled allusions, profound insights, and even specific predictions pertaining to nations and empires that would rise and fall, and even those that shape our contemporary landscape? This is not a question for the faint of heart, nor for those content with superficial readings. It is an invitation to plumb the depths of sacred scripture, to discern patterns, interpret symbols, and confront the startling possibility that history itself, from its earliest dawn to its distant future, is woven into a divine tapestry, meticulously detailed and breathtaking in its scope. We promise to explore how ancient visions, once shrouded in metaphor and mystery, might now illuminate the very nations we inhabit, challenging our understanding of time, sovereignty, and divine oversight. Part 2. The Journey of Deep Discovery. A. The Historical Context. Prophets and Their World. To truly grasp the concept of ancient prophecies foretelling modern nations, we must first immerse ourselves in the world of the prophets themselves. These were not mere fortune-tellers, but rather profound theological figures, often marginalized, who stood at the precipice of significant historical junctures. Their messages were deeply rooted in the political and social realities of their own times. The rise and fall of empires like Assyria, Babylon, Persia, and Greece, each asserting its dominance over the ancient Near East. Prophets like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel were acutely aware of the geopolitical shifts around them, understanding that these worldly powers often acted as instruments in a larger divine narrative. Their prophecies, therefore, often served a dual purpose: to address immediate concerns for their people, Israel or Judah, and to unveil a panoramic sweep of future events, sometimes stretching far beyond their immediate horizon. The language they employed was often symbolic, drawing on natural phenomena, mythological beasts, and anthropomorphic imagery to convey complex ideas about power, judgment, and ultimately, redemption. Understanding this context, that their primary audience was ancient, yet their vision potentially timeless, is crucial to approaching prophecies that might speak to our present. B. Decoding the Scripture. Unveiling Veiled Nations. The journey to identify modern nations in ancient texts requires careful exegesis and a willingness to interpret symbolic language. We turn first to the Book of Daniel, a cornerstone of apocalyptic literature, where visions of colossal statues and fearsome beasts are presented to the prophet. In Daniel chapter 2, Nebuchadnezzar's dream of an immense statue composed of various metals, gold head, silver chest, bronze belly, iron legs, and feet of iron mixed with clay, is interpreted as a sequence of world empires. The gold is Babylon, silver is Medo-Persia, bronze is Greece, and iron represents Rome. But what of the feet of iron mixed with clay? Some interpretations suggest this final, fragile, yet powerful kingdom represents a fragmented yet interconnected group of nations emerging from the Roman legacy, potentially pointing to various European powers and their continued influence, perhaps even hinting at the modern geopolitical landscape characterized by both strength and internal division. Further, in Daniel chapter 7, 4 beasts, a lion with eagle's wings, a bear with 3 ribs, a leopard with 4 wings and heads, and a terrifying beast with iron teeth and 10 horns, parallel Nebuchadnezzar's vision, again representing successive empires. The 10 horns on the 4th beast are particularly intriguing, often interpreted as 10 future kingdoms or rulers that emerge from the final empire. Could these represent specific alliances or influential nations that would rise in the modern era, perhaps within a European context or even beyond? given the global reach of power today. Beyond Daniel, we find compelling, though often more generalized, prophecies. Isaiah 19 speaks of Egypt, a nation with a long and complex relationship with Israel and its future transformation and eventual reconciliation. While it doesn't name modern Egypt explicitly, it speaks of a future spiritual awakening, which some interpret as a long-term prophecy transcending ancient events. Ezekiel 38 and 39 detail a massive invasion of Israel by a coalition of nations from the uttermost parts of the north, led by Gog of the land of Magog. The names mentioned, Magog, Meshech, Tubal, Persia, Cush, Put, Gomer, Beth Togarmah, are ancient geographical references. However, many scholars and theologians have historically identified some of these regions with modern-day nations. Magog, for instance, has been linked to regions that would eventually become parts of Russia or other northern Eurasian territories. Persia is unequivocally modern-day Iran. Cush often refers to Sudan, Ethiopia, and Put to Libya. The prophecy depicts a large, diverse alliance, seemingly antagonistic to Israel, which resonates powerfully with contemporary geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. While these are interpretations, the textual connections are striking, prompting a deeper investigation into how ancient geographic markers might correlate with current national identities. C. The hidden theological meaning, divine sovereignty and human history. The profound theological implication of these prophecies, whether specific or symbolic, is the undeniable assertion of divine sovereignty over human history. If ancient texts can indeed hint at modern nations, it suggests a meticulously planned narrative, a cosmic blueprint where every empire, every conflict, and every political upheaval is, in some measure, under the watchful eye and ultimate control of God. This challenges secular notions of history as a series of random events or purely human achievements and failures. Instead, it posits a grand narrative where nations rise and fall according to a divine purpose, sometimes as instruments of judgment, sometimes as conduits for blessing, and always moving towards a predetermined conclusion. The existence of such prophecies underscores the timelessness of God's plan, demonstrating that His knowledge transcends the limitations of human perception and historical eras. It transforms history from a chaotic series of occurrences into a purposeful progression, giving deeper meaning to the geopolitical landscape we observe today. D. Controversies and theories. The interpretive labyrinth. Predictably, the idea of identifying modern nations in ancient prophecies is fraught with controversy and diverse interpretations. One major school of thought is historicist interpretation, which views prophecies as unfolding throughout history, with direct correspondences to specific historical events and nations. Proponents of this view often meticulously attempt to map biblical names and symbols onto modern geopolitical entities. Another perspective is futurist, which posits that many of these prophecies, particularly those concerning the end times, are yet to be fulfilled and will manifest in a literal way in the future. However, critics often highlight the dangers of eisegesis, reading one's own contemporary understanding into ancient texts, rather than extracting meaning directly from the text itself. They argue that attributing modern national identities to ancient prophecies can be speculative, prone to misinterpretation, and can sometimes lead to alarmist or overly rigid interpretations that fail to account for the symbolic and theological nature of prophetic literature. The fluidity of ancient geographical names, the changes in national borders over millennia, and the highly figurative language employed by prophets all contribute to the interpretive labyrinth. Is Magog a precise geographical location or a broader symbolic representation of a hostile northern power? Is the king of the north in Daniel always a specific nation, or does the title shift over time? These questions underscore the humility required in interpretation, acknowledging that while divine foresight is evident, its precise manifestation can remain elusive until its fulfillment. Yet, the persistent resonance of these ancient texts with current events continues to fuel the debate and inspire deep reflection. Part 3. Conclusion. the eternal echo. Our journey through the ancient prophecies, seeking glimpses of modern nations, reveals not a crystal ball offering direct labels, but rather a profound tapestry of divine foresight woven into the fabric of history. We have seen how the historical context of the prophets, their unique theological insights, and the symbolic language they employed create a complex yet compelling narrative. From the successive empires envisioned by Daniel to the coalition of nations described by Ezekiel, the sacred texts hint at a grand design that stretches across millennia, encompassing both ancient empires and, arguably, the geopolitical forces of our contemporary world. The central echo resounding from this exploration is the unwavering sovereignty of the divine over all human affairs. It compels us to ponder not just the intricate dance of nations and their destinies, but the very nature of time and purpose. If the past could whisper intimations of our present, what does this imply for our future? What responsibilities does such a profound vision place upon us as individuals and as nations in the unfolding story of creation? The ancient prophecies, regardless of their precise modern application, serve as a timeless reminder that history is not merely a human endeavor, but a narrative guided by an unseen hand, beckoning us to seek deeper understanding and to live with a heightened awareness of our place within a story far grander